Get to know the history and curiosities of the Volkswagen SP2, the brand's most beautiful sports car. The birth of Project X and the success of sports cars in the 1960s. In the 60s, the sports car segment was on the rise in Brazil, and one of the best-selling models in the category was the Puma GT. Volkswagen, in turn, manufactured the Karmann Ghia, which also had good sales. However, given the success of the Puma GT, the president of Volkswagen do Brasil, Rudolf Laden, decided to create a sports car to compete with the model. The new vehicle was called Project X, and its design was carried out by a team of Brazilian designers, without interference from the German headquarters. The idea was to use the chassis of the variant station wagon to build the sports car, and one of the designer's references was the Corvette prototype, created on the Chevrolet platform. The Volkswagen SP2, the sports car that marked an era in Brazil. The SP2 was a comfortable and luxurious car, with bold lines and charming design for the time. Many consider the SP2 to be the best-looking Volkswagen of all time, and it was designed to cater to a booming sports car segment in the late 1960s. And its project was totally Brazilian, without interference from the parent company. Project X and the birth of SP2. The history of the SP2 begins at the end of the 60s, when the sports car segment was on the rise in Brazil. At the time, the Puma GT was the dream of many young people, while Volkswagen manufactured the Karmann Ghia, which also sold well. Faced with the success of the Puma GT, the president of Volkswagen do Brasil, Rudolf Laden, decided to create a sports car to compete with the Puma. The new vehicle was called Project X, and the design was entrusted to José Vicente Martins and his team. The project was totally Brazilian, without interference from the German headquarters. The idea was to use the variant chassis to build a new sports car, and the design team used as a reference the project designed by the Bertone studio, known as Corvette Study, created on the Chevrolet platform. The look of the new vehicle was marked by a large, wraparound rear window. After several sketches and tests, the prototype was presented at the German Industry Fair in 1971, and a year later, in June 1972, it was launched with the definitive name, SP2. The name was a tribute to the city of São Paulo, where the vehicle had been designed and created. Elegant design and advanced technology. The SP2 had a bold and very beautiful design, with a front marked by 4 round squares, 2 on the left and 2 on the right, crossed in a gray frame. In addition, the Volkswagen logo was in the center of the front panel, with 2 chrome strips around it. The bumper was made of wraparound steel, with a rubber coating to protect against light impacts. The lights were rectangular. The launch of the Volkswagen SP2 as a tribute to São Paulo. After several sketches and tests, the new prototype was presented at the German Industry Fair in 1971. A year later, in June 1972, the model was launched with the definitive name of SP2, a tribute to the city of São Paulo where the vehicle was designed and created. Volkswagen launched 2 versions of the sports car, the SP1, more basic and less powerful, and the SP2, more complete and with better performance. The model was popularly known as SP2. Bold design and advanced technology for the time. The Volkswagen SP2 had a bold and very beautiful design. The front of the car had 4 round squares, 2 on the left and 2 on the right, arranged in a gray frame, similar to other Volkswagen models of the time, such as the Variant and TL. In addition, the Volkswagen logo was in the center of the front panel, with 2 chrome strips around it. The bumper was made of steel with a rubber coating to protect against light impacts. The windshield had a pantographic wiper, and the front trunk had a capacity of 140 liters. Why wasn't the Volkswagen SP2 as successful as expected? Despite having the interior of the Volkswagen SP2, it was equally elegant and luxurious, with an intuitive instrument panel and all the command indicators, including speedometer, tachometer and temperature and oil pressure indicators. The steering wheel was a sporty type with leather trim, and the gear lever was finished in chrome, further adding to the champion feel. The front seats were covered in leather and had height adjustment, allowing the driver to find the ideal driving position. The rear seats were less comfortable, but still adequate for short trips. Air conditioning was optional but highly recommended as a cabin could get quite warm on hot days. Performance and direction. The Volkswagen SP2 had an engine. The 1.7-liter, 4-cylinder, air-braked engine delivered a maximum power of 75 horsepower. The engine was very elastic, and the transmission was a 5-speed manual, allowing the driver to make the most of the vehicle's performance. Steering was light and precise, and the suspension was firm but comfortable, allowing for good cornering stability and excellent absorption of road irregularities. Drum brakes were efficient, but in some situations, such as steep descents, it was necessary to use engine braking to keep speed under control. The SP2 was considered a sports car, and its bold lines and agile performance appealed to many young people looking for a cool, fun vehicle. However, low engine power and lack of features such as disc brakes and air conditioning limited the vehicle's appeal to a more discerning audience. Despite its attractive design and distinctive market presence, the Volkswagen SP2 was not as successful as expected and was discontinued in 1976 after just 4 years of production. The lack of resources and fierce competition with more powerful and technologically advanced models were some of the main reasons for the vehicle's failure.